begin the session. In the previous class, we started SQL Server. I told you that SQL Server is RDBMS and it supports two database system processing systems. They are OLTP and OLAP, online analytical processing, online transaction processing. And I gave you an example, Amazon, how it uses OLTP and OLAP, online transaction processing and online analytical processing. And this OLAP and OLTP, they are for OLTP is for running the business and OLAP is for growing the business. Okay, and I already discussed about this database development and administration. So if you work on development part, database development, these are the roles and responsibilities. And if it is database administration, these are the roles and responsibilities. And we discussed about client server architecture also. So here, client in the sense, it's an application. Okay, in the context of database, here we need to discuss about SQL Server Management Studio. It is the application. We have to install that in the client system, in our system. Okay, server is somewhere in a remote location. So in order to connect with the server, we need to have an application, SQL Server Management Studio. And also client in the sense, it may be a web application or maybe mobile application also. But we are talking about the database concepts here. So when we talk about SQL Server is different. It's a database engine, and client tool, SQL Server Management Studio, is different. Okay, and these are the client tools, SQL, SSMS, and SQL Plus in Oracle also. And also we discussed about SQL, structured query language. It is a common query language, universal query language to communicate with the relational database management systems. So we have SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL. So in all these database management systems, we use SQL as the common query language. But the thing is, it does not have all the what you call we cannot do any programming part in SQL. Using that, we cannot do programming like procedural programming. So it does not have that capabilities. So in order to avoid that, I mean, in order to get rid of that, Microsoft has designed another software, TSQL. So with this, it's a transact SQL. With this, we can do procedural programming. That means we can use loops, conditional statements, variables, etc. We can use functions like strings, dates, and we can do error handling also in TSQL. And also SQL commands. If you see the SQL commands, based on the operations we perform on database, the commands or SQL commands are categorized into 5 types. One is data definition language, data manipulation language, and third one is data query language, transaction control language, and a data control language. Under this data definition language, we have create, alter, drop, truncate commands. Under data manipulation language, we have insert, update, delete, merge commands we have. And data query language, in order to get the in order to fetch the data, we use select command. And also under the transaction control language, we have commit, we have rollback, and also we have save transaction. And this data control language, here we have 2 commands, grant and revoke. So when I discuss about these things, we will see practically with every command we use different scenarios. So you will understand that. And It is a small table here I gave you here in order to differentiate data definition and data manipulation. Definition in the sense it is related to structure. It is related to structure. Data definition in the sense employee ID, employee name, salary. This is data definition. It is a structure. Data in the sense whatever the values we have in the table, that is data. Okay. So now today what we will do is first we will see the installation of SQL Server 2022. Installation of SQL Server 2022. I prepared one document here. Today morning I observed that not all the changes, long ago I installed the software. There are no much changes. I tried to install that, but I want to show you here the screenshots so that you will understand that. So here is the URL we have. Let me open this URL. In Microsoft website, we have SQL Server downloads. Under this, see, we have SQL Server 2022 on-premises option, SQL Server on Azure, SQL Server 2022 developer version, and SQL Server 2022 Express. Okay, you install SQL Server 2022 developer in your system. You have to install this one. Okay, it's free. No need to worry about that. It's free version. So, well, if you click on download, see, the file is downloaded here. Okay, this is an installer. So when we click here, a wizard will be open. So you can go with the basic installation. Okay, just see. Okay, I already have SQL Server in my system. Let me open the document. I will show you the screenshots. But before installing SQL Server, you need to understand who is that? Voice is coming here. Who is that? Please mute. We are mute. Who is this? Sandhya Sonar. Okay. See, the prerequisites to install SQL Server is first, whatever the system we have that has to support the software, right? That has to support. A lot of noise is coming. Sandhya Sonar, 1 second, mute. Okay. Okay, now it is okay. So our system has to support to install SQL Server. So it must be 64-bit. The operating system must be 64-bit edition, either Windows 11 or Windows 10. Okay, you can use that. And hardware requirements, if you see, a processor must be 1.4 gigahertz. Here is the configuration for everything, and RAM space should be minimum 2 GB to 4 GB, and also disk space. So everything we have, the prerequisite what we need for installing SQL Server we have here, and also I showed you this screen. So we have to select the SQL Server 2022 developer version. SQL Server 2022 developer version. So when you try to install this one, you come across this wizard. Just see, installation is selected here. You have to click on new SQL standalone installation. Okay. So when you click on that, it will process. Okay. These are the installation rules here. You need to select new installation. Okay. I already have a SQL Server in my system. So new installation it is. And after that, you need to option here. You need to select developer edition. After that, if you have Azure extension, see this option. If you have Azure account, you can give those details here. Otherwise, you need not select Azure extension here. Okay. So after that, here select a database engine service. That is enough. Okay. But I selected all the services here. You need to select the first one, database engine services. Okay. And you can give a name here, named instance. Okay. So it gives, it show you, I think, a server configuration. Here, all the details you have here. Okay. You can give all these settings, Windows authentication mode and mixed mode. You can select mixed mode, not Windows authentication mode. You select mixed mode. I will tell you the difference later. Okay. And database engine configuration is that. And you have to see all these things and fill there. And the temp DB. You need not do all these things. Up to this, it is default values. Okay. After that, you need not touch this max DOP also. Once it is done, it will be installed. Okay. See, like this you will get. Okay. Anyhow, I will share this document with you, and also you can get this installation procedure in internet also. No need to worry about that. Okay. So once you install this one, we need client-side tool also, right? So for that, you need to go to this URL. There you need to click on download option of SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. Just try to install that. Okay, that is our client. Okay, and let's come back. Okay, this is installation part. Now, once it is installed, we need to connect to the server, right? How to connect to the SQL server? How to connect to the SQL server? Now let's see that. To connect to SQL server, open SSMS and enter the following details. Let's see. I have clicked on SSMS. Now see here, it is asking the credentials. it is asking the credentials. First thing is server type. Server type. Okay, I told you that I installed all the services in my system. Okay, but you get database engine. By default, it is the one with which we need to work. Database engine. Okay, that is the server type, default one, fixed one. What about server name? Server name in the sense our system name. Server name in the sense our system name. See, Venkat. Okay. So under this system name, we have MS SQL Server 22 instance. So that's it is showing like that. And let's see, we have IP address also. Suppose your server is somewhere in a remote location. If you know the IP address of server, if you know the IP address of that server, you can give that IP address and you can connect to server. Okay, but the thing is here, I have SQL Server and client tool in my system itself. That's why I gave my system name here as server name. Okay, now SQL Server authentication. What does it mean? Authentication, actually, it is the process of identifying the user. It is the process of identifying the user. Okay. And also we have Windows authentication. Let's see the difference. If you select Windows authentication, see, my name is coming here. Okay, I am the user here. It is not asking user ID and password. Because here I am only working here on this project. Assume that I have given permission to work on this. Only one person in this system. Okay, so I can. That means you can assume that database is there in my system itself, and I can work in this system. So I have been given permission to work on that. Okay, at that time you can use Windows authentication. Okay, that means those are authenticated users of Windows operating system. Those are authenticated users of Windows operating system can log in into the SQL server and work on it. Okay, you understood that? Those who are authenticated users of Windows operating system. They can log in into the SQL server with the same credentials. I have user ID and password for my system. With the same credentials, I can log in into the SQL server. Then what about SQL Server authentication? I showed you a mixed mode. Okay, when you select mixed mode, it asks you username and password. It will ask you that. SA means system administrator. By default, it shows you SA, system administrator. Okay, you give whatever the password you want, you can give that password. And just see, when I select SQL Server authentication, you can able to see the login ID as SA, system administrator. Okay, and whatever the password you set for it, that password you need to give here. Okay, that is mixed mode, SQL Server authentication mode. Okay, that means suppose DBA database administrator has created one database, and he has given permission to 2 developers. Okay, so the 2 developers can log in at a time. At the same time, they can log in and work. Okay, that means 2 developers are working on the same database. But if I select Windows authentication mode, that means what? I am alone working on this database. Okay, that is the difference. Now, sir, what is Microsoft Entra MFA and password integrated service principal managed identity Entra default? I will explain that. Actually, in the companies, earlier, if you see, if you take a local area network or wide area network, if any company if it has 100 systems, they are all local systems. And to control all these systems, company maintains a server system. Company maintains a server system. Okay. Through that server, they can control all the 100 systems. The administrator creates user ID and password for every system, and he creates users information in that server, and through that server they can control all the systems. Later on, when the cloud technology came into the picture, okay, so people started using cloud technology, right? Earlier in the server we used to have Active Directory. It's a component. Okay. Using Active Directory, the administrator used to control all the systems. But in cloud, particularly Microsoft introduced Azure. Okay, you might have heard of that, Azure. It's a cloud service, where earlier they used to have Azure Active Directory. So on the cloud, we can manage all these things. So they named it as Azure Active Directory. But in 2023, Microsoft renamed it as Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, see, Microsoft Entra ID, Microsoft Entra MFA, Microsoft Entra password. Okay, I will tell you the purpose of these things one by one. So Microsoft Entra ID is an identity and access management solution. Let me write here. Okay. What I told you, Windows authentication, it's for single user. Okay. Now see, SQL server authentication is for multiple users. Okay, multiple users. Now see, Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, it is an identity and access management IAM, identity and access management solution that helps organizations secure secure and manage identities in cloud and on-premises environments. Okay. On-premises in the sense, companies maintains the servers in the company itself. Cloud on the fly. Okay. So remote systems. These are okay. You can call it like that. Okay. So Microsoft Entra ID is an identity and access management (IAM) solution that helps organizations secure and manage identities in cloud and on-premises environments. Okay, I told you that earlier name was Azure AD. Azure AD. Okay, earlier it was Azure ID, Azure Active Directory. But in 2023, Microsoft has renamed it as Microsoft Entra ID. Entra ID. Okay, that means it manages user logins. It manages user logins and access to applications and access to cloud services and access to data. Okay, it means it manages user logins and access to applications, cloud services, and data. Okay, simply we can say authentication, and authorization. Right? Okay. Who are you? What it is? Authentication. Okay. What you can access. Try to understand this. Huh? Authorization. Okay. So authentication in the sense identifying the user's identity. It is the process of identifying the user's identity. Authorization is the process of giving access privileges to the users, those who are authenticated. Okay, that is the difference. So authentication is the process of identifying the user, and authorization is the process of giving access privileges to the user once he is authenticated. Okay, how it helps companies. Now see that how it helps companies. It helps to prevent unauthorized access. Okay. Second one, to apply multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication. That is called MFA. Okay. Authentication. Third one is to secure both employees and external users. To secure both employees and external users. And also to simplify logins. Yes, logins. Like sign in, we see that single sign in, like that. So it helps companies to prevent unauthorized access, to apply multi-factor authentication, and to secure both employees and external users, and also to simplify logins. Okay. Now, what we have seen here, see, Microsoft Entra MFA. Okay. Microsoft Entra MFA. Okay. Actually, this multi-factor authentication, nowadays we are also using that. Okay. It is like it uses OTP via SMS or email. Okay. Few people, they use Microsoft Authenticator app. Microsoft Authenticator app. Suppose you have an account in Microsoft. Okay. So you can install this Microsoft Authenticator app in your mobile. Okay. Whenever you want to log in into any Microsoft service or Microsoft website, you can use that authenticator also. Okay. And also we have biometric face or fingerprint. Okay. Okay, biometric. This is Entra MFA. The next one is Microsoft Entra password. Second, where is this? Microsoft Entra password. Okay. It uses email or username. Okay. Username plus password. Okay. For cloud access. Okay. Sometimes you can use this MFA also. Okay. When you start working on Azure, then you will understand this. Okay. This is for cloud access. What is this Microsoft Entra password? Okay. The next one is Microsoft Entra integrated. Microsoft Entra integrated, right? Integrated. Here, actually, it uses your Windows account details, Windows or domain account to authenticate automatically. So no need to enter credentials. Okay, this is integrated. Okay, let's see here. Suppose let me select here Windows authentication. So see, it is not asking username and password. Okay, let's see whether it is connecting or not. Connection was successfully established with server, but then error occurred during the login process. Provide SSL provider, something it is there to our certificate. Okay. Let me work this. I'm using SQL Server authentication mode. I think it works. Now it is working. But this Microsoft Entra integrated, this what it does is it uses your Windows domain account to authenticate automatically. It is like when you connect with Azure services or something else, then if you use this service or login what you call mode, it uses your Windows account. So you can automatically log in into the what you call whatever system you log in. Okay, that is the purpose of Microsoft Entra integrated. After that, where is this one? Next one is Microsoft Entra Service Principal. Microsoft Microsoft Entra service principal. It is for apps or automation scripts. Okay, it is for apps, applications, or automation scripts. Okay, to work with automation scripts or applications, you need to use this one. Okay, service principal. After that, we have another one is managed identity. Microsoft Entra managed identity. It is for Azure services like virtual machines, functions, web applications, etc. Okay, if you are aware of Azure now, so virtual machines we can create, okay, in the cloud. So functions, web applications. For this, we need to use Entra managed identity. Okay, and the next one is managed identity. Okay, default. Microsoft Entra default. Okay, default. Here, you might have aware of what you call Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio softwares. They also have login options. So when you create that login option now, so that credentials, whatever are there, so with that credentials also we can log in. Okay, that means for Azure tools like SDK, okay, software development kits we have now. So software development kits, Microsoft Visual Studio, they have user ID and password. With that also we can log in. And also Azure CLI command line interface. Okay. And also Terraform is a tool. Okay, so with these credentials also we can log in. That is the default. So whatever the user credentials we have, we registered with the tools, we can use them. So how many are there? All are completed. Okay. So Windows authentication, SQL Server authentication, we have seen that. MFA, password, integrated, service principal, managed identity, Entra default. Okay. Here I am selecting SQL Server authentication. Admin 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'm using that. Okay. Next, yeah, connection security. Let's see that. Connection security, we have optional, mandatory, strict, and trust server certificate hostname. Okay. This connection security, actually, we are using SSMS, right? An application to communicate with the SQL server. So in order to protect the connection, we need encryption so that others cannot see the data being sent over the network. Okay, that is the purpose of encryption. Let me write here. What is that? Connection security. Suppose actually we are using SSMS, right? So when a client SSMS connects to SQL server, SQL Server, the connection can be protected, using encryption. Okay, protected using encryption, so that others cannot see the data. Okay, so what is the use? To provide the security or protection to the communication between the client and server. Okay, let's see what we have. Another one, mandatory strict trust server certificate. Actually it uses SSL or TLS to encrypt the connection. Okay, SSL and TLS. What is SSL? It means secure socket layer, and TLS, you might have studied these things in your academics. Transport layer security. Okay, transport layer security. These are the cryptographic protocols. Okay, even when you deal with the web applications, see HTTP colon website name, HTTPS colon website name we give, right? That HTTPS, behind that HTTPS, what is there? A server certificate will be there, SSL, secure socket layer. Okay, so these are the protocols actually to communicate, to establish the communication, secure communication over the network. We use these protocols. Okay, so it uses SSL or TLS to encrypt the connection. Okay, now this, what you call encryption, optional, mandatory. Let's see. Mandatory means must use encryption, but doesn't check certificate strictly. What does it mean? Mandatory in the sense it must be encrypted, but doesn't check certificate strictly. Okay, what certificate? See, trust server certificate. Let's see. Trust server certificate. It is a setting. When connecting to SQL server over a secure connection. Secure in the sense encrypted. Okay, secure in the sense encrypted, and it tells the client whether or not to trust the server's SSL or TLS certificate validating. Okay, so server certificate in the sense it is a setting. Okay, inside, internally it maintains that the settings options will be there. So when connecting to SQL server over a secure connection, and it tells the client whether or not to trust the server's SSL TLS certificate without validating. Okay, what does it mean? See, if you have SQL server, I told you that web application. So HTTP, HTTPS. Okay, what is the difference? HTTPS, we have, see, for banking applications, usually they use HTTPS. Okay, what does it mean? They use a certificate behind that for securing the connection. They use a certificate. Okay, and they encrypt that. Okay, so that security will be there. In the sense, for communicating with the servers, there is a chance to hack also. Sometimes sometimes it happens, so that we cannot expect. So to avoid that kind of situations, usually companies, they spend a lot of money, right? So when they spend a lot of money, they have to provide security also. So if you see the banking application, they do a lot of transactions. Okay, they have to provide the security, they have to do the encryption, right? So for that, they maintain the certificates behind this networking and all. Okay, when you open the website, when you do transfer and all, so no one can hack that. In the same way, this server also has a certificate, SSL TLS certificate. Okay, what we are doing, we are connecting using SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. We are trying to connect with the SQL Server. Suppose it is at a remote location, New Delhi. Okay, now we are trying to connect from our system. We have SSMS in our system and we are trying to connect to the remote located server. Okay, so that server has a SSL TLS certificate. Okay, when we have a certificate, the server must have a host name also. Host name in certificate. What is the name of the host? They have to tell that, and we will enter that host name here. Okay, try to understand that. We have to enter that host name here. Now, when you check this trust server certificate, server certificate, that means true. It skips certificate validation. No, I did not select checkbox. That means false. It validates the certificate fully. Okay, so in that process, if you say mandatory, must use encryption, it has to use encryption, but doesn't check certificate strictly. Okay, now another option is strict. Must use encryption and validate certificate properly. Okay, must use encryption and validate certificate properly. Okay, what is optional? It tries for encryption, tries for encryption if available. Okay, otherwise it will leave. Okay, no issue, it will leave. Okay, so in order to provide a secure connection or to protect the connection, we have connection security options. If they have anything with the server, they only tell us use this host name and use this option and use this authentication. They tell all these things. Okay, so at that time you will come and you will experience all these things. Okay, now it is not mandatory. If you understand the subject, that is okay. Okay, if you don't understand, no problem. You see the video again and again, you will understand that definitely. So you need not bother about this connection string. Okay, let's see. Okay, SJ server authentication. connection was successfully established with the server, but the occurred during the login process. What happened? Let me. Okay. Actually, to explain you the installation process and all, I did some changes actually. Let me try again. So it is connected. Okay. Now it is connected. Now we gave login user ID as SA and password also. And after entering, what we have seen, Object Explorer. Okay. The whole thing is Management Studio. This is our client application. You cannot see SQL Server, the exact what you call SQL Server engine. Okay. So behind the screen, SQL Server will be there, but you can communicate with the SQL Server only through the client application, and that is SSMS, Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Okay. Now see what we have here. We have databases option here. See, under this, we have system databases. Okay. Up to now, you have any doubt? You have any doubt? Okay. So under system databases, we have master, model, MSDB, TempDB. 4 databases are there. Okay. Let me explain one by one. System databases. Okay. System databases. And they are the default databases. They are the default databases. Okay. The first one, what happened? Okay. Right. First one is master database. Actually, it contains information about all databases. Okay. It contains information about all databases, logins, okay, system configuration and file locations, etc. Okay. It contains information about all databases, logins, system configuration, file locations, etc. Suppose, so it contains everything, right? All the information of databases. So if this is lost or if it is corrupted, then SQL Server may not work. Okay. So this is very important. Master DB is very important. Okay. And the next one is model. It is a template database. It is used to create new databases. Okay. And every time you create a new database, okay, SQL Server uses the model as a blueprint. Okay. So when you create a new database, okay, then this model, see the name itself saying it's a model for what? Creating database. It's a template. Okay. In object-oriented programming, suppose if you take C#.NET or any language, you take Java, whatever it may be, you create a class. Okay, what is the use of that class? What is the use of that class? What is class? It's a template. It's a template. Okay, and you create an object for it, right? You create an object for it. In the same way, we have model here. It's a blueprint. When you create a database, okay, it refers, okay, model. This is the model. It sees this, it takes it as a reference. It's a blueprint to create new database. Then immediately it creates database. Okay, that is the purpose of model. Okay, next, MSDB. MSDB. Actually, it is for scheduling. It will get, I mean, what we have this agent, I will tell you that. Right? It is, it's a scheduling and automation database. Automation database. Okay, I will explain that. It contains jobs, backups, alerts, okay, and maintenance plans. Okay, and also it is used by SQL server agent. Okay, server agent, a service for automating tasks. Okay, yesterday I told you this one, server agent. You might have forgotten SQL server agent. Let me show you that. The components, where are they? See, find service. Yes, SQL agent automation. See, for automation, we use SQL agent. So sometimes what we do is we take backups. Suppose it is what you call a DBA. DBA does this work actually for automation and all. And sometimes a developer also can do automate the scripts. Once he gets experience in that, he can do that. Okay, and he creates jobs also, and he creates alerts. Okay, email alerts kind of things also we can do. And maintenance plans, it is done by DBA. So for that, we need to use SQL Server Agent. Okay, so that information will be saved. That information will be saved in MSDB. Okay, and the fourth one is TempDB. It's a temporary storage used for storing temporary tables, okay, intermediate results, and sorting operations, and it automatically and it automatically clears and resets every time SQL server restarts. Okay, practically we can see this. No need to worry about this. It's a temporary storage for storing temporary tables. We use temporary tables. That time you can understand this. Okay, so for sorting operations, we do some operations. So that time, whatever the what you call information will be there, that will be stored in TempDB. Okay, so that is the purpose of TempDB. I will explain in deeply when I explain about that concept. Okay, This is temp DB. It's a temporary storage. Okay. Now, these 4 databases are default databases. Default databases. Now see, right click on databases. Okay. New database. Create new database. Okay. Now, when you create new database, what happens? Let's give a name here, EMPDB or employee DB. I gave this name. Okay. Now see this one. Here, after giving this name, here it is showing see employee DB log file. Okay, 2 files are it is showing. Okay, this is primary file. This is primary file, and its initial size is MB. How much? 8 MB, right? 8 MB. We can change this one. We can change this one. Okay, and auto growth. Auto growth. What does it mean? I will tell you that. Okay, first let me create this database. Okay, it is created. See, employee DB, it is created. Okay, now go to the properties. See, 8 MB initially. Okay, but here it is showing the file name. See, employee DB MDF, employee DB underscore log LDF. First, let's see that. Okay, so when you create a database, okay, the database will be created with 2 files. With 2 files. One is .mdf, okay, and another one is log file. Log file. Let's see. Log file, yes. .ldf. Okay, log file. Here, actually, this is primary file. Actually, whatever the data we are going to store, that will be stored here in the main data file. Okay. This is called master data file. Master data file where data will be stored. Okay. And what about this log file? Log files stores all the operations when we execute the query. Okay, so it will be stored in log file. Okay, one second. Hello. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. The same link, actually another class is there. Okay, so we have to close the session now. Okay, let me finish. This is the log file. It stores all the operations when we execute the query. It will be stored in log file. Okay. Tomorrow I will show you the locations and I will discuss the remaining things. Okay. As of now, we can close the session and tomorrow we can continue this. Okay. You have any doubts? No doubts? Okay. Let's meet tomorrow then. Okay. Bye.